Welcome to part 2 of my door repair video. If you haven't seen part 1, I'd suggest going back where I show you how to adjust this door. Now, I've adjusted this door pretty good where it's flush at this locking mechanism and that locking mechanism. But even with that, I still get a gap in the corner here. I'll show you from the outside how it's adjusted well, but I still have this gap. The other thing I'll show you is that if you look really closely here, I have some paper towels sticking out here on purpose. But this door has a tendency to rattle and make a lot of noise going down the road. And I'll show you what causes that and what you can do to fix that. And if you have a little gap like this, you'll be surprised how loud of noise that can make. So you really do want to get rid of that gap. Let's go to the outside and I'll show you what is causing this. Okay, we're looking at the door from the outside, and it will be hard to capture on video, but this is where one of the locking mechanisms here, and the door is really tight here. And then the other locking mechanism is a little bit further up, and I'll show you that. Same thing, this is where the locking mechanism is, and it's really tight here. But where you see why you have a gap up on top is, check this out here. This door still flexes up in this corner. My speculation is that when they installed this door frame here, what it looks like to me is that this opening is a little bit too big. It's at an angle also, so I think they needed a little bit more shimming behind this door frame to bring it in a little bit more. But again, I'm only guessing. But with the door closed, you will see how big of a gap there is. With this giant gap here, it's causing that light to bleed through on the other end. So we're going to go ahead and fix that. And on top of it, I think if the manufacturer made this tolerance a little bit smaller, as well as the door manufacturer, if they put a load on this door, I think some of your structural engineers will know, but when this is latched, this door still likes to flex. So if they put a little bit of a preload where it's more like cup shaped, it would suck onto that door much better. So let's go ahead and show you what I do. Well, I got it all done, so let me show you what I did. What I did was I used this type of seal here. It's almost like an off-white color. And I applied some on this edge here. Let me see if I can show you on this door also. I also applied it on this upper edge. And then on the very top, it's going to be hard to see with this angle. I also put some here on this edge. So now when I close the door, you'll see that that gap is gone. So that's what I ultimately ended up doing to get rid of the gap in my door. Now my very first round, I did try to use one of these bulb seals just up in this upper corner, but this profile I have is too short, so it wasn't enough. I still had daylight on top. Ultimately, I think that's all you need is if you had a thicker bulb seal here in this corner, that's where it's most susceptible for that gap. Let me show you from the inside what's causing all the noise on this door, as well as how this lock mechanism works. So I'll see you shortly. I'm going to show you the internal components of this door. And this door has these plugs here. And a nice tool to have is one of these. I'll put a link to one of these, but these plastic plugs are very common in automobiles, so if you get one of these plug removers, good tool to have. As well as you can get a kit. If you ever break one of these, you can get an assortment kit. That's what this is, a replacement piece here. But let me show you the internal components of this door. Here's a snapshot of what the interior of the door looks like when it's taken apart. Sorry for the echo, but I have removed this panel here. And why it's important is, let me show you how it's put together. This is the panel that would normally sit here with the window shade. And if you've looked at the previous video, this is where I stuffed the paper towel behind here. Well, what you will see here is that the back side of this panel with the window shade, it's just on there with this double stick tape. And then some more foam tape here. So if you look at this door panel here, you can see there's some foam panel here. That double stick tape was on here, as well as here. And these slots, that's where these little tabs went into. When you're going down the road, what is happening is that this panel here, either though the double stick tape is on there, what I found was a lot of my double stick tape was loose. And that panel is what was rattling against the door. And that's why I just stuffed the paper towels behind. Now taking this piece off, it is pretty difficult. Either though some of the double stick tape released, a lot of it stuck on there really good. So it is pretty hard to take off. And when I took this one off, you will see that I cracked it right here. This is the original door before the recall. So this is a spare door that I just usually keep in my garage. But this is the internal components, and that's what's making that loud rattling noise. The other noise that happens is this little squeaking noise. The squeaking noise is this plastic here is rubbing against this exterior panel. So if you have any of that, you might have to put some silicone or something here or stuff something behind here to stop that squeaking. Let's look at this handle. Sometimes this handle can become loose. So when you take this panel off, this panel usually sits on this side of the door. That handle just gets screwed onto these little plastic pieces here. I discovered a couple of extra holes here, and it's just plastic on here, and it's really easy to strip out. So whoever the original installer was, if they tighten it too tight, it strips this plastic. So if yours is the case, you either need to make new holes. If you see these, it has 4 places you can put a hole in. Or in my case, I've even taken this piece off here and put a piece of backing. This is just a hollow cylinder, and put a piece of backing in there. If you've also seen my previous maintenance series, you know that the exterior hinges, I recommended to spray that bow shield in the hinges. And here's the actual underlying problem. The rod itself on the hinge, this is made out of stainless steel. And the hinge material itself this is aluminum. And I'm gonna friction fit this in here already. So once I put it in here, I can feel it binding pretty good right away. And that's the problem. Over time, as water goes in here, these dissimilar metals, they will actually corrode over time. So you can look this up online. If you have aluminum and stainless steel, which are dissimilar metals, they don't play very well together. So what's happening over time is, because these hinges sit on the outside, when the rain goes down, it corrodes over time, and basically your hinges can seize between these dissimilar metals. So that's very important. You know, obviously you could take the entire door apart and put some kind of, I don't know, probably grease would work better than what I'm doing. But I think the average person is not going to take everything apart. So I would highly recommend putting that bow shield in on a regular basis. I would do it actually several times a year based on what I'm seeing here. This is a brand new hinge and a rod, and I can already feel it binding. So I can only imagine a little bit of water being added on. Hope that helps. Okay, now that you've seen the hinge, the final problem is that if you look at this part of the door, there's a sign on here that says you can't open the interior and the exterior handle at the same time. And if you've ever done that before, I think you know what I'm talking about. I think I was patient 0 on this deal. And let me give you, for demonstration purposes, this handle right here is connected to this rod. This rod goes down to this locking mechanism here, and when you pull on the handle, it's lifting this piece up, and when you push on the handle, it's locking it. What's happening is, when you pull on the handle on the inside And I've taken the exterior handle off already. And this exterior handle on the outside, this piece right here, this metal piece right here, when you pull on the handle on the outside, what's happening is that you are actually moving this part of the handle here. And when you pull it at the same time, they kind of flip on each other and they get stuck. And when that happens, what happens is this metal piece here gets stuck on the other end of that plastic piece I showed you back here. This is probably going to be difficult to explain. So when that happens, what I did before was that, let me see if I can get my camera on here. What I did was I took the screwdriver and I pried that metal piece back. I think looking at this door component now that it's all taken apart, I think the easiest thing to do would be wiggle that handle and play with your lock and unlock button at the same time, and that may end up reversing the stuck piece, because this metal piece is getting stuck on the other side of that plastic piece. I probably didn't explain that the best, but that's my diagnosis of this door. So hopefully this helped you understand this door a little bit better. And I think one thing that's, it's not a bad door, it just has a lot of little quirks. I think if the manufacturer could put a little bit of a preload or a camber on this door, it would seal a lot better and we wouldn't have those problems with those gaps in the door. And this lock mechanism, I don't know, I think they could make one of those pieces a little bit longer so it's impossible for the pieces to flip around, but I'm not an expert in that area. But that's really it. This is a quick synopsis of the door taken apart. Hope this helps you if you're getting your rattles and squeaks and noises, as well as anything that comes loose and this common problem with the door lock getting stuck. This should help you out at least. So that's it. I hope you like videos like this. If you've stuck around this long, please hit the thumbs up button and we'll see you on the next video.